right, everybody, we are back again for another episode of the Coaches Compass. Now, remember, I don't know what episode it is. I just continue to record, continue to bring on cool guests from all across the world. Remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so you continue to have this thing grow, continue to bring on cool guests from all over the world. I've got another special guest here with me here today. I've got John Armstead. Now, not a coach, but working on the mental health side of things. He's a former USC football player and Richmond Spider lacrosse player. Now co-founder of Athletes Together, which is a new athlete mental health app launching here in 2025. John, welcome and thank you for being here on the Coaches Compass.
It's a pleasure, man. I'm excited about this one. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, man. I mean, we got the chance to link up at most random thing I think it could have been for any athlete that when you talk about it is trying out for a bobsled team here in America, which is two athletes that don't live anywhere near ice. Right, because you're in Texas, I'm in Nashville. You're originally from California, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm from Florida. Ain't no ice in those states.
Nope, not at all.
But then now we talk about the whole mental health side of things. Man, what brought you into wanting and being passionate about mental health?
Yeah, this is, I can give you a long-winded backstory to this one, but I would say at a high level, it was just my experience playing in college sports. So as you just described in that intro, I had two different experiences playing sports in college. I was at this mid-major lacrosse program, not a revenue sport, and then the big budget revenue powerhouse that is USC. And it was very interesting to compare those two experiences together and realize that, hey, the mental health and the mental wellness of all the athletes is very similar despite the very different backgrounds and very different to sports in general. And that was a pretty telling sign at that point where, we were like, hey, let's actually build something that is not out there right now because there's so much of a need to actually get mental health support, but athletes don't really know where to turn to right now. Like we have the headspaces of the world, the calms of the world, and things like that are really good for specific instances in non-athletes, I would say. Like they're not very specific towards the athlete, a direct way to address things that athletes go through themselves. So we wanted to kind of bridge that gap right there and say, hey, we can actually build something that is going to be a lot more athlete specific, but then can also give the wellness support that a lot of these bigger apps are doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about from the athlete side of things because, I've made the transition now from being an athlete to into the real world. And there's a lot more access to things when you're in the real world for the everyday person. But people don't realize what it goes into being an athlete on an everyday basis. When you go from the college level to the professional level, even when you go from high school to the college level.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I'm in that age range where we're in that middle, right? Where it's that, hey, like you got to be mentally tough, like get over it, keep going. And then there's y'all's age range that has brought up how mental health has affected their performance. So how do you help the older generation understand that mental health is actually important?
No, that's a really good question. To me, the biggest thing is actually just correlating that to the thing they're going to care about the most, which is the performance side of stuff. And there's now a lot of studies and a lot of proof to actually say, hey, you don't need just to work on your mental health, mental wellness to just be like an overall like happier human, I think is how people look at it. There's a lot of direct correlation to saying, hey, you're going to perform a lot better on the actual field if you're going to be in a much better headspace. So being able to communicate that properly, I think is the first step. There is that stigma that comes across it where it's like, if you are working on this, you're going to be probably viewed as a little bit of a weaker link or whatever it might be. And I think the way to solve that issue is saying, no, like I just want to be the best player I can be. And doing that is going to be trying to figure out myself from a mental and a physical perspective.
And how can they do that by going into, so with the app, what are you guys working on in there? Because I think there's going to be, and it's a huge importance. Don't get me wrong, because I wish we had something like this when I was playing or whatnot, because, you get the talks that, hey, just be tough, which I don't even know what it means to really be mentally tough. I know like in game times and competitive sides, like, hey, how to tap in and just be locked in, but there's life, right? So like how can they find help in the app?
Yeah, we do a lot of things. We don't just do one specific thing, and I think that's kind of on purpose. So giving people the variety of different approaches and different professionals on the application, I think is important. So what we do is we host a bunch of very, very high level and high quality professionals that are, in sports psychiatry, so the clinical side, sports psychologists, life coaches, mental performance coaches. Like there's a whole range of just mental types of coaches that are on the application. And that's on purpose because what they're doing is putting their services and strategies onto the application where it's a lot more proactive and a lot less reactive. And I think that's kind of the issue right now with the entire scene of mental health, where it's, hey, I'm going through a problem. Let me try to fix it with, XYZ. We try to essentially change the approach of athletes where it's, hey, I'm not going through anything right now, but let me equip my mindset better for when I do, because that's going to happen eventually, whether it's on the field or whether it's just in the classroom, whether it's just in life in general. So what we do is we have an entire suite, I would say, of features where it's going to be a lot more proactive mental wellness and mental health. And that's going to be coming from, these professionals that work with college athletes, Olympic athletes, professional athletes. And they're just equipping you with different strategies, things to do on a daily basis, habit building, habit forming, and things that you can just do when you're not in a position where you need to react and essentially be like, gosh, like something's going on right now, let me fix it. So that's kind of the main approach that we're taking. And that's, we have a ton of different features that are actually being able to address that. But yeah, the biggest one is we're going to host these services not directly on the application. It's going to be more of like sample like services and being able to highlight the actual professionals that are in these areas of expertise, but trying to directly address anything they're going through on a good or bad basis, and then give them something to work on to either be proactive or, in some cases you do need to be reactive. But just being able to address any type of situation an athlete is going through is the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, it sounds like a one-stop shop, but you named off like 6 different types of coaches in there.
Yeah.
What is the difference between all of them? Like if you talk about life coach, mental health coach, psychologist, yeah, you named a lot. Because it's still, like I said, I'm the bridge of the gap,
Yeah.
but I don't know what all these people do.
Yeah. So psychiatry, that's going to be the clinical side of stuff. So like actual mental health, maybe if like prescription, things like that, like that's going to be more of the psychiatry side of things. So the more official like MD type of help that you would think Dr. So-and-so is kind of prescribing stuff, and, you're going through the clinical side. Sports psychologists, that's going to be people that are working on a non-clinical level, but very, very high level in tapping into the mindset of athletes, and kind of a more holistic approach as well, where it's not just performance. It's going to be trying to address, different aspects of life too. Very big for student athletes, as they're going through academics and whatnot. Life coach, that's going to be an even more holistic approach, where it's like less even about sports and more just about trying to find what you're passionate about and how to translate that into sports as well. So those are 3 examples. There's a wide range of just different titles that these professionals have. But the point that I was making with that is we're hosting that variety on purpose, because we know that people respond differently to different types of help, and kind of depends on the situation, depending on what you might need or what you might be more attracted to in a specific circumstance. So being able to have that variety on the application just gives athletes, honestly, the visibility to be like, I didn't even know this. Like you kind of asked me the question, I don't even know what this type of professional does. That's great. Hopefully we're actually now educating them and being able to put them in a position where being like, maybe that is the type of coach that I want to be working with, or maybe that's kind of the type of help that I want to be more gravitating towards. So I think the first part of it is education. That's kind of why we have that variety of professionals. But then the second thing is, after the education, people respond differently to different types of support. So that's kind of the reasoning behind it.
Now, when you were an athlete yourself, and still currently, I would say still currently an athlete because of what you did at bobsled camp was impressive, man. What part of this do you wish you would have had while you were in?
Man, yeah, in the least cheesy way possible, I would like to say all of it, because that's our mission statement, is build something that we would have used. But to be more specific, I would say first, I don't want to just kind of harp on what I just made a point on, but the education part of it, I didn't even know what was out there. I didn't know who would be the right person to reach out to. There's a stat that only 19% of colleges have sports psychologists or someone employed to actually help with the mental side for athletes. And I didn't even understand.
Wait, 9% of all these
universities only 19% have an employed sports psychologist or someone. A lot of them outsource it. Some are trying to outsource it to third parties, but those aren't full-time, staff where they can really go to at all times. And I think that's an issue in itself. So I think the biggest thing for me is, hey, how can we get almost that 27 type of support, 24/7 type of support, where there might be an instance that you don't even know how to address. How can we first educate them on like here's what you should do in that situation, but then also ensure that could be happening at any time of day? Because the biggest constraint for us was that of those 19% of schools, even when you are in those 19% of schools that have a sports psychologist, they're working 9 to 5. They're not working around the clock for you. If you have a mental health instance, you have something you're going through at 10 p.m., you're like, good luck kind of thing. It is kind of the approach you have to take with it. So it's how can we get that support at the right time? I think that was the biggest thing for me. The majority of stuff that you're going through is going to be when you're like at night, like by yourself. It's not going to be when you're going through like class at like 3:00 on a day when like they have an opening as well. So it was the access to support, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it and like laugh like at 10 p.m. like usually gonna go to something, but like you hear about the athletes that are like it's gotten bad, where
Yeah.
athletes are taking their lives, and needing somebody to speak to and like hear from them, and like even the early set on CTEs that you're hearing about nowadays. How do you plan to get this into not only just schools, but the professional level to help athletes, but also get coaches to understand that this could help their athletes? Because I think
Yeah.
that's going to be another
Mhm.
hard pushing point, right?
Yeah.
Because you still
Absolutely.
got the baby boomers out there
I
that
know.
ain't trying to hear none of this.
No, I know. It's been a work in progress. So I've been building this thing from the actual origin story is going to be over COVID because that was kind of when mental health was really at the forefront. You just even referenced it. Like there was a lot of suicides that were happening among student athletes, and that was kind of when it really came to light of like we need to work on this a little bit more. So actually getting it now, like this has been a work in progress of having these conversations, trying to start the talks to different schools. Our biggest thing is going to be yeah, obviously trying to work with schools and trying to like be that source for them. I referenced this earlier when we were talking, which is I think like what we're doing right now and the way that we need to address that with a handful of people that don't really see the value in it initially is it's their job to win games. And if we can help them win games, that's going to be even better for them. And the way that we can do that is kind of handling more of the mental side of things. And if we're going to help mentally prepare their team better, they can perform better on the field. There is direct value in that. So it's that line of communication, being able to hopefully help them see that. And then besides that, we will be trying to work with as many colleges and schools as we can. We have an entire B2C format as well for just anyone that's not within our network of schools. But when we are trying to get the coaches on, it's going to be trying to give them that value of wins and losses because that's how they see it.
How's it been for you though, building this thing all out, like balancing because you've got an everyday job, right, full time job and stuff, and still training, being an athlete yourself. How's it been on your own mental, and how's it been to build this out and kind of see where it's headed to, and now you're almost on the verge of launching it? Has it taken any toll on you, and how have you been able to not burn out and actually get this thing to the finish line?
No, that's a wonderful question because it's actually funny. I do feel it sometimes when I'm really going through some of the more chaotic days of building the application where I'm like, it's a little ironic. I'm building an application for this and at the same time burning out myself trying to do it.
It's like you're not practicing what you preach, you know what I mean?
I know. Like, man, I wish I had this app ready for myself right now. But no, it's been an awesome learning experience. I'm obviously a first time founder. I'm 25. I haven't founded anything else before this, but that in itself, trying to found a company of a mission statement that you're really passionate about, it keeps you going enough to where you want to get through like those really difficult days where you think you hit a roadblock or just a lot of the issues that come with it, like missing sales or whatever it might be. Like those that happens in a startup. I'm trying to figure it out as I go every single day. So I hit a lot of different obstacles and things where I'm like, I don't really know how to navigate through this. But I will say that there's not a lot of issues I think I'd really be doing that for besides this one. Keeping that in the back of my head of being like, yeah, like we might have messed up today. We might have to rebuild this entire feature. We might have just like fully flipped this thing 180. That part of it's definitely really difficult. Knowing there's a light at the end of the tunnel of like, hey, we have the opportunity now to really tap into a big audience of athletes and give them that support for the next generation. That's enough of a motivating factor for me on a daily basis where it's like we can get through like this issue we're having right now. If we know we're gonna be able to be helping athletes here pretty soon, like then we're in a good spot. Yeah.
So before we get out of here, what's one thing, or where would you like everybody to go find the app? When is it going to
Yep.
be launched? And what is the biggest thing you want everybody to take away from this app?
Yeah. I'll start one by one. I'll chip away at those questions. So it's going to be launching October 1st. We're hoping for it. Running a pilot phase right now with a handful of student athletes, just ensuring that when it is in the hands of the public, we're going to give you guys the best quality possible. Yeah. So aiming for an October 1st launch. That'll be on the App Store, on the Google Play Store, hopefully available to all athletes across the country of all ages as well. The biggest thing I would like athletes to get away from this is that we're doing this and we're formatting this entire application in a way to just introduce the overall concept of mental wellness. If you've never worked on it, great. Hopefully you can find some value in it. If you have worked on it, even better, you can even find more value in it. So there is a spot for every type of athlete on the application, whether you're resistant to mental health and mental wellness, whether you do it a little bit or whether you do it all the time. There's going to be something where hopefully we're going to be able to provide you some value on it. And at the end of the day, I honestly just want to be helping one athlete, but if we can help a million, that's even better. It'll be exciting for when this thing really gets launched and seeing this work of progress that has been way too many years in the making finally come to fruition. But it's going to be rewarding. I'll tell you that.
Right, because nothing easy comes simple, right? If it was easy, everybody be out here making apps. But I guess people are making apps, but quality apps, right? But I do love the name of it, right? Athletes Together, and I think it's an awesome thing that you're doing. And I want to say congratulations to getting it to this point, and I can't wait to see it get across the line because I know for myself, being a 33-year-old athlete, I never thought about mental health, because I'm
Hey,
from the older coaches where they're like, hey, whatever's going on in life, it doesn't matter, right? Like you got
yeah,
to show up and play, you got to show up and perform. But knowing that if we would have had a way to figure out things outside, maybe we could have saved a lot more lives. But I think it's time that we do it here now, and I'm really really proud of you, and I can't wait to see this app come to life.
appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hey, you're going to be needing to use it though when you're going to Milan this upcoming winter for the Olympics.
Hey, that's a hopeful thing right there. We don't know yet,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
hey,
I got my faith.
if we do, hey, you got a spot right on the helmet, my brother.
I appreciate that. I love it.
Of course, and we're out of here.
Yes, sir.